Out front now, the Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. Senator, what does Bondi's response to your question, of course, to Durbin's and others, about the Epstein case, what did it reveal to you? What did it tell you?
That the cover-up continues and that they're willing to lie to continue the cover-up. Her suggestion that I had received campaign contributions from this alleged Epstein close confidant simply isn't true. All they had to do was go and look at my public campaign finance reports and see that this individual appears on them nowhere. So she went off into the salacious discussion. She went off into the false accusations about campaign contributions. She went on, and what that question really demanded as an answer was a very simple one-word answer: no. She couldn't say no, that the FBI does not have those photos, they were not obtained from Epstein's safe or premises, and she has not seen them. It was a super easy question to answer. And so this long prevarication full of falsehoods is, I think, what you'd call in poker a tell.
So, and I suppose, answers to those questions, if the answer is no, or Durbin's question, right? I mean, who instructed people to flag that Trump's name was in the files, and who made the decision to tell him? We know that he was told in the late spring that his name appeared in the files by the DOJ. There was another exchange that stood out to me, Senator, and there were many, but this one was connected to some specific comments that Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, recently made about Epstein. And, no one had any idea he was going to comment on it. And he did an interview with the New York Post and a podcast, and he started talking about it, and specifically about a tour that Epstein gave Lutnick and his wife years ago when their townhouses were side by side in Manhattan. Here is what he said.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money.
Okay, as I said, no one expected Howard Lutnick to weigh in on this, and he weighed in with a specific, detailed, and awful story, which prompted an exchange today between the Attorney General and Republican Senator John Kennedy. Let me play that for you, Senator.
Have you interviewed Secretary Lutnick?
No, Senator.
Do you plan to?
If he wants to talk to the FBI or the FBI wants to talk to him, that is more than on.
Don't you think you ought to talk to him after this interview?
Senator, if Howard Lutnick wants to speak to the FBI and if Director Patel wants to speak to Howard Lutnick, absolutely.
Okay. Maybe we ought to get Mr. Lutnick in here too, Mr. Chairman.
Do you agree with him to get Mr. Lutnick in there? Do you think he should, your committee needs to hear from him?
I think we should do the investigative work first before you just bring him in and ask cold questions. That's just basic, proper procedure. But clearly he knows something about what went on in that house next to his. He had suspicions about Jeffrey Epstein and these massages. But there are other things that we should be looking into also. Remember the hundreds of transactions that went through Jeffrey Epstein's accounts in the matter of $1 billion. And these transactions went to the DOJ from the Treasury, the reports about them, with the cover suspicious activity reports. How could you get more obvious that there's suspicious activity? And another question Bondi refused to answer was, did you investigate even one of those? So there's a lot to look into still, and the cover-up continues.
Well, there's a lot to look into, and of course the files still aren't out there. And Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, as you know, has put his career on the line, saying that the Epstein files need to be out there, and he has not wavered. He says that the House Speaker Mike Johnson is refusing to have the House go back into session specifically because of Epstein. And I saw this post, Senator, and it really stood out to me. He said, Massie posted, contrary to what he says, Speaker Johnson is doing everything he can, including delaying the swearing in of the most recently elected member of Congress and spreading misinformation about the legislation to block a vote in Congress on legislation to release the Epstein files. Do you think Massey is right about what Speaker Johnson is doing?
I have absolutely no reason to disbelieve him, and I think there's a strong case to be made that we are stuck in this Republican-driven shutdown in large part because the Speaker doesn't want to bring the House back and end the shutdown, because that brings the House back to have the Epstein vote.
It's a pretty incredible thing to actually say and, hear it so clearly. Thank you so much, Senator. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.